Archangel Michael is crying out your name. He's begging you, please don't skip this. He says, 7 archangels are dying. They were wounded protecting you. If you skip this, they won't survive. You weren't supposed to see this by accident. Heaven has been trying to reach you for days, no, years. Archangel Michael is crying your name into the wind, and this is the final cry. The angels who stood guard over your destiny are falling, one by one, because of what was sent to destroy you. Not because you failed, but because you've been asleep to the war surrounding your life. 7 archangels were assigned to you. Not symbolic ones. Real protectors. They were struck down shielding your name, your future, your bloodline. You didn't see the battle, but you felt the effects, the delays, the confusion, the unexplained sadness in your spirit. That's not random. That's the sound of heaven bleeding for you in silence. Michael says if you skip this again, if you walk away like before, they will not survive. And if they fall, the covering over your life will collapse. The gates will open. And what they've been holding back will rush in. But it's not too late. You are still chosen. You are still protected. You are still loved. This message is not here to punish, it's here to awaken. You were born for something that darkness is terrified of. That's why this battle is so intense. Michael's wings are torn. The others are collapsing. And your name is still glowing in the scroll that hovers just inches above the earth. Don't skip this. Not now. Everything depends on what you do next. Archangel Michael is crying out your name. He's begging you, please don't skip this. He says, 7 archangels are dying. They were wounded protecting you. If you skip this, they won't survive. The skies have been screaming your name. Not metaphorically. Not symbolically. But with a sound that has cracked through the folds of heaven like thunder laced with weeping. The cry came not from earth, not from your own desperation, but from Archangel Michael himself, his voice soaked in agony, trembling with divine urgency. He called you by name, over and over, as 7 of heaven's fiercest protectors collapsed to their knees, bleeding light that once blinded darkness. Archangel Michael says this is no longer a gentle nudge. This is not a soft whisper trying to wake you up from your sleep. This is a final plea. A celestial alarm. The archangels assigned to guard your path, ones who stood before death to preserve your breath, are dying. Yes, dying. Not metaphorically. Not spiritually. But in a realm where their collapse shatters bridges, blocks miracles, and delays blessings meant for you alone. 7 lights, each tied to your destiny, each holding a sealed scroll that contains part of your divine identity, are dimming, flickering like candles exposed to violent wind. One by one, they took the hit for you. Not because you asked, but because heaven already knew what was coming. The curses hurled against you, the generational venom, the secret backroom rituals where your name was whispered into fire. They came in full force. But you didn't see them. You didn't feel the arrows. You just felt sudden sadness, anxiety, delay, loss. But those were the echoes, the ripples of the unseen war where angels bled so you could breathe. The moon trembled behind torn clouds the night they were struck. And Michael, leader of heaven's armies, did not send his second in command. He did not send a subordinate. He came himself. Sword blazing, wings torn, voice filled with fury. He arrived too late to stop all of it, because something held him back. Your silence, your detachment, your retreat. You were supposed to say yes. You were supposed to awaken. You were supposed to open the message days ago. But you didn't. And now time has cost you something heaven can barely afford. God says, yes, God speaks now, that this moment was written in fire before you were born. There would come a time when silence would kill more than speech. When skipping what heaven sent wouldn't just delay a blessing, but might sever lifelines attached to you since your childhood prayers. These 7 angels have names not known to earth. But their fingerprints are all over your survival. The close calls. The sudden breakthroughs. The dreams that warned you just in time. That was them. And now, they're lying in a realm between life and fading, whispering your name with trembling breath. The enemy knew the date. June 14th. They had been planning it for years. A coordinated strike against your lineage, your mind, your finances, your soul. They did not expect resistance. But resistance came, on wings glowing with the fire of heaven. 7 archangels descended, forming a ring around you in the spirit. Your name was engraved into the shield they raised. And when the darkness came with serpents of doubt and cloaked betrayal, they did not flinch. But they fell. Because the weight was too great. And your silence was too loud. Archangel Michael says, this is your final moment to act. The window is narrow, the veil thin. These angels are not just protectors. They are gatekeepers of what's next. If they fall fully, what they carry dies with them. A future never birthed. A blessing never opened. A healing never received. You've asked heaven where your miracle is. Why you've waited so long. Why the door is still shut. It's here. It's them. They are the miracle. And they are dying. You are not just a person. You are a prophecy in human form. What rests on your shoulders affects nations, timelines, generations unborn. You are not forgotten. You are feared by darkness. Because when you awaken, entire bloodlines break free. That's why they attacked. That's why 7 of heaven's elite were needed. That's why this message was written not with ink, but with divine urgency. If you skip this now, it will not just break heaven's heart. It will break what was coming for you in the next 14 days. The wind has shifted. Something ancient is rising. And the angels who still breathe, barely, are waiting to hear your yes. Not your hesitation. Not your distraction. But your yes. Because the battlefield is not over. And the next strike will not stop at angels. It will aim for you. Unless the war didn't begin today. It started the moment you were born. Before you ever knew how to pray, heaven had already drawn its swords on your behalf. From the moment your eyes opened to this world, you were marked, not by failure, not by sin, but by promise. The enemy saw the light in you and panicked. And so, while you were learning to walk, dark forces were already designing traps. While you were dreaming small dreams, 7 archangels were assigned to you, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. But something happened in recent months. A shift. You stopped listening. You began to doubt the whispers. The ones that used to stir you awake at night, urging you to rise and pray. You began silencing your own intuition. You told yourself it was nothing. Coincidence. Imagination. And in that silence, in that numbness, your defenses grew thin. The angels still fought. Still guarded. Still blocked the worst of it. But without your alignment, your voice, your agreement, something weakened. The war they were winning slowly began to turn. You didn't see the hand that reached for your future in the dark. You didn't hear the prayers spoken by demons disguised as friends. You didn't feel the weight in the room when you mentioned your plans, your dreams, your open heart. But the angels did. They saw everything. They caught the spiritual daggers aimed at your next breakthrough. And they took the wounds without complaint, without retreating. Their wings became cracked. Their shields splintered. And still, they stood. You may think this is just metaphor. You may think this is poetic, beautiful language. But God says, no. This is literal. Specific. A spiritual reality bleeding into the physical world around you. That fatigue you feel? That sudden tension with no cause? The delay in things that once flowed easily? That's not just life. That's war manifesting in your atmosphere. And the silence you've kept, the skipping of moments like this, is not neutral. It's lethal. The angels do not blame you. They never would. Their loyalty to you is absolute. But they are not limitless. And when you ignore the cries, when you silence the tug inside your soul to respond, to say yes, to step into position, they can only hold back so much. And right now, they're outnumbered. Not in might, but in permission. Because the darkness has spoken your name with more authority than you have recently. And heaven cannot override your will. Archangel Michael says, the time for hoping things will work out has ended. You are not in a waiting season. You are in a war season. And the war isn't around you, it's over you. You, who carries healing in your hands. You, who dreams things that come true. You, whose laughter makes demons flinch and whose tears break open ancient vaults in heaven. You are not small. And that's exactly why you've been targeted. The angels who shield you are not general messengers. They are warriors of the highest rank, keepers of divine scrolls that contain instructions, appointments, heavenly alignments meant for your life. When you walk into a room, they go before you, rearranging the atmosphere, breaking invisible curses, releasing clarity. But lately, they've been intercepted. Ambushed. Dragged into ambushes you never saw, because you were never meant to fight them alone. But you were meant to wake up. And now? Now their light is flickering. They are lying in a realm where time bends, where prayers echo like lifelines, and where your voice still holds power. But it must be used. No more passive waiting. No more asking heaven why the delay, while leaving messages like this unopened. This is the answer. The message. The warning. And the war report all in one. God says, if you understood what has been kept from you, what should have happened by now but was stolen, diverted, delayed, you would cry until your bones shook. But God does not want your tears. He wants your response. Because this war can still turn. The angels are not gone yet. But they are close. And their survival is tied to your obedience. There is a door. Right now. Hanging in midair in the spirit. On the other side is everything, healing, restoration, abundance, divine partnership, ancestral justice, generational wealth. But the lock on that door is not made of gold. It's made of your yes. You stepping into alignment. You recognizing that this is not just another message. It's the one. You have felt it. The dreams. The restlessness. The moments where you felt watched, not by fear, but by something higher. That was them. The seven. Sent to guard what was always yours. And now, as they bleed into the veil between realms, they wait for your voice. Will you speak? Will you move? Will you say yes? The silence has lasted long enough. If you skip this again, you may not recognize what you lose until it echoes through every room in your life. Don't let that happen. Not now. Not when you're this close. The angels did not fall by accident. They did not stumble in some random skirmish of heaven's war. No, this wound was intentional, coordinated, and rooted in betrayal that hit closer than you realize. Archangel Michael says, "The sword that pierced your protectors was sharpened by someone whose face you still trust. Someone whose voice you've heard recently. Someone who once spoke blessings into your life, while muttering destruction behind closed doors. There were meetings, unseen, but real. Spiritual councils formed in darkness, cloaked in rituals and riddled with envy. And your name? It was placed in the center like an offering. The people involved knew you were rising. They sensed it. Even when you couldn't see it in yourself, the spiritual world could. You were glowing. You were beginning to ascend in silence. And that's when they moved. Jealousy disguised as love. Family disguised as friends. Counsel disguised as curses. It was not your enemy who opened the first portal of pain. It was someone who once wiped your tears. Someone who pretended to believe in you. Their hands did not cast spells in the way you imagine, but in silence, in agreement, in alignment with dark forces. They nodded at the suggestion that you would be better off humble. That you shouldn't rise too fast. That maybe the spotlight would ruin you. And in that agreement, the angels protecting you were forced into a battle they should never have had to fight. Two names rise from the shadow. Two individuals whose hearts have been rotting slowly, poisoned by a spirit of competition, envy, and deep ancestral darkness. One is close by, so close you've laughed with them recently. The other wears a mask of spiritual wisdom, but their counsel has always made you second-guess your path. These two made the deal. The archangels intercepted it, but at a great cost. The ritual was simple. A mirror. A name. A lock of hair. It may sound unbelievable, theatrical, but spiritual contracts do not require theatrics. Just agreement, and that's what was given. They agreed that if your light was dimmed, they could rise. That if your destiny were delayed, theirs might advance. They traded the purity of your future for temporary gain. And the darkness accepted it, hungrily. That's why things have felt off. Why your energy has been unpredictable. Why people have been ghosting you without reason. Why doors you know should have opened by now remain stuck. It's not your fault. But it is your fight. Because this betrayal gave darkness legal access to your atmosphere. The archangels held the line, but your silence, your lack of awareness, weakened the seal. And now? Now they are bleeding. Not symbolically. Literally, in light, in essence, in divine time. And every hour you remain unaware, the damage deepens. God says, do not mourn those who betrayed you. Do not retaliate. Do not curse them. But know the truth. Because heaven requires awareness before it can restore authority. What you fail to confront, you unconsciously agree with. And you did not come this far to unconsciously lose everything for the sake of keeping the peace. The betrayal goes deeper. There is something tied to your bloodline, a hidden vow made generations ago. Someone in your family, long before your time, made a covenant for power, survival, status. And that spiritual debt? It has come due. And the payment they offered? Your breakthrough. But the angels stepped in. 7 of them. Breaking through spiritual contracts that were never supposed to touch you. And for that, they fell. Michael stood at the gate when the deal was struck. He tried to stop it. But without your voice, your yes, your awareness, his sword could not sever the tie. Archangel Michael says, the betrayal can still be undone. But only by you. Not through revenge. Not through fear. But through awakening. Through reclaiming what was stolen with your name on it. And yes, they used your name. On parchment. In chant. In silent agreement with powers that smiled at the thought of watching you break slowly. This is not paranoia. This is prophecy. And you have been sent this message not to scare you, but to awaken what is royal and sleeping inside of you. The betrayal was real. But so is the justice that's coming. But justice is not passive. It is activated. And that activation begins with awareness. You now know. You've been told. Heaven has risked everything to bring you this revelation. And there's more to come, but only if you remain. Only if you stay open. Because the betrayal was not just against you, it was against your assignment. Against the generations tied to your success. Against the healing you carry in your very voice. You were supposed to unlock something this year. A partnership. A contract. A divine release. And the moment it began to form in the spirit, the betrayal struck. That's why it collapsed. That's why it vanished. But heaven hasn't forgotten. That scroll is still alive. Still waiting. But it can't be delivered while you're still unaware of what poisoned your air. The angels fought for you. But now they wait for you. The betrayal can be reversed. The curse broken. But not if you skip this again. Not if you retreat back into numbness. The war has reached your doorstep, and now you must choose, silence or sovereignty. You are standing on a threshold. Not a metaphorical one, a real one, etched across the spiritual atmosphere surrounding your home, your heart, your destiny. Heaven has held the line as long as it could. But time in the Spirit is not endless. And now the countdown has begun. Archangel Michael says, if you delay again, judgment will be permitted. Not because God is angry, but because heaven cannot continue to war on your behalf while you remain asleep to the cost. There are 3 gates in your life, 3 divine entry points. 1 governs your finances, 1 your relationships, and 1 your destiny path. Each has been guarded. Each has been attacked. And now, each is flickering under the weight of your silence. Because the angels assigned to protect these gates are the very ones lying wounded in the spirit, barely clinging to light. Their wings, once radiant, armor-bright, now sag beneath the weight of wounds taken in your name. And still they do not resent you. They plead for you. Michael has stood between you and things far worse than heartbreak. Things far worse than disappointment. Demons sent to steal your memory, fracture your mind, plant despair in your bloodline. And he did not let them pass. But now, the permission is shifting. The covenant of protection that surrounded you is beginning to thin. And the threshold? It's glowing red with warning. You have one final window. Not days. Not weeks. Hours. God says, this was not how it was meant to unfold. The ones who were supposed to cover you have become the ones who cursed you. The people you once called family were meant to intercede for you, but instead, they bartered your brilliance for favor. And heaven is grieved. But justice is still possible. Redemption is still possible. If you act. If you awaken. There is a judgment hovering now. But it is not a punishment. It is a mirror. What you refuse to acknowledge will now begin to manifest. Not because God wills it, but because heaven's laws cannot be broken, even for love. If you keep denying this war, you will start to see its consequences. In your sleep. In your bank account. In your relationships. In your health. One by one, the gates will show signs of breach. You will feel the cold wind of compromise blowing through places that once felt safe. This is not a threat, it is a sacred warning. The angels are still trying to hold the line, but they're fading. Fast. Michael is not weeping because you failed him. He is weeping because he remembers who you really are. What you're supposed to become. He saw it before you were born. He stood in the room when God spoke your name into the light and assigned fire to your words. He knows what you've forgotten, that you are royalty disguised as ordinary. That your bloodline carries the antidote to a curse plaguing thousands. That your next, yes, can undo generations of oppression. But only if it is spoken now. You must understand the weight of what's at stake. One of the angels has already crossed into the fading veil. The light within them is dimming beyond recognition. If you skip again, if you continue to dismiss these tremors in your spirit as nothing, the others may follow. And when the seventh falls, the gates will be breached fully. The flood will come. And the things heaven has kept from touching you will have legal right to enter. You have felt it, the strange delays, the sudden sadness, the invisible pressure around your shoulders, the tears that come for no reason. That is not depression. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual bleeding. You are feeling the aftermath of battles you never saw. The aftermath of angels shielding you in silence. But now, the silence must break. Or the gates will. The betrayal has been revealed. The curse has been named. And now judgment stands, waiting to see if you will respond. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. Will you awaken? Will you speak what must be spoken? Will you claim what is yours before it is erased? Michael is watching. The angels are waiting. Your destiny is still hovering, on the other side of obedience. But heaven cannot force you to step forward. The war was never yours to fight, but the victory is yours to claim. And if you do, something will shift instantly. The veil will tear. The breach will close. The angels will rise again, healed by your obedience. This is not about religion. Not about rituals. It is about remembrance. About reclaiming the truth that you carry a divine key in your spirit. And only you can unlock what was sealed for your name. Choose now. Speak now. Move now. Or the next time you feel the silence, it may not be divine. It may be the absence of what once stood to protect you. Somewhere in the realm between heaven and earth, a scroll still floats in divine suspension. It glows with a soft golden light, flickering like a candle that has not yet gone out. Upon this scroll is your name, etched in script no human hand could ever write. This is not poetic. It is literal. This scroll is the record of your divine assignment, and it has not yet been opened. The angels who carried it were struck before they could deliver it. But the scroll still hovers. Still waits. Still believes. Archangel Michael says, the final blow has not yet landed. You still have time. But the window is barely cracked. The winds are shifting. The pressure around you is not just emotional, it is cosmic. You are feeling the echo of eternity trying to make contact. Every delay, every strange dream, every tightness in your chest, that is the scroll calling for your response. You must choose now whether you will claim it, or lose it. The one who intercepted the scroll was not a stranger. It was someone who knew your weaknesses. Someone who smiled in your face while quietly casting doubt on your vision. This person made themselves available at every major turning point in your life, offering advice, offering concern, but always directing you away from your own voice. They were the vessel darkness used to interrupt your delivery. They didn't know the full extent of what they were doing. But their envy became a portal. They saw your light before you did. And they feared what would happen if you ever fully awakened. So they whispered, "Be realistic. Be careful. Don't trust your own gut." And slowly, you began to lose confidence. The scroll dimmed. The angels pressed in closer to guard it. And now? That time is over. The scroll must be opened, or it will return to heaven, unread. God says, "I never stopped writing your story." Even when you wandered, even when you forgot who you were, even when you gave up, the scroll remained active. But now the time has come. Your name has been called in the courts of heaven, and the angels cannot delay the proceedings any longer. This message is the final warning before the sealing. If you skip this, if you numb out, scroll past, deny it, it will be recorded as your answer. And heaven will honor it. Because you have been given chance after chance. Mercy has fought for you. Grace has hovered over your home. Angels have stood weeping at your bedside. But the law of divine justice is clear: what is unclaimed must return. Michael still stands. But barely. The others are falling into unconsciousness, their light flickering in slow-motion collapse. Their wings no longer shine like they once did. The place where they stood, around you, over you, is growing quiet. The silence is not peace. It is a warning. And yet, if you say yes, everything can reverse in an instant. The scroll will descend again. The angels will rise, radiant, restored. The gate will reseal. And you? You will begin to feel the shift in your own bones. A warmth will move through your hands. Your voice will change. People will notice. The invisible battles will stop draining your spirit. And the path that was stolen will reappear. This scroll carries instructions. Wealth. Relationships. Movement. Relocation. Healing. The end of generational afflictions. The release of an idea you've had in your spirit for years, but couldn't bring to life. The scroll holds keys. Maps. Names of people you haven't met yet, but whose lives are tied to your breakthrough. And they are waiting for you. All of them. You don't need to figure out every step right now. You just need to respond. Because heaven cannot deliver what you still deny. Your scroll is yours. But it will not stay here forever. There is a divine schedule. And we are now at the edge. This is not about fear. This is about honor. About inheritance. About breaking the chains that have wrapped around your family for generations. You were always meant to be the one. The one who would break the pattern. The one who would carry the scroll to the finish. The one who would stand when everyone else fell. The angels are not just dying for you. They are dying with you, if you let this moment pass. Michael's voice is faint now, but clear. You were born for this scroll. Do not let it vanish. If you respond, if you open your spirit, even silently, a surge will move through the heavens. The seven will rise. The betrayal will be nullified. The scroll will descend. And the next chapter of your life will begin, not in confusion, but in clarity. Not in delay, but in divine speed. Not in grief, but in glory. Choose now. Open your hands. Say yes. Before the scroll returns home without ever being opened.